Hello again. In this segment we're going to talk about what sort of width of table you need, and this is really a question which is really down to personal preference. There's a few key pointers I'll give you, but the best thing is to talk to a specialist about this particular area. What I've done is I've got three of our affinity massage tables to contrast the different widths and the different strategies you can have. The first thing you need to work out is really how tall you are and what treatments you're going to do. If, for example, you're not very tall, and by saying not very tall I would say under 5'4", you really need to consider having a slightly narrower table. Particularly if you're doing things like sports remedial massage, it's more critical. Because if you think about if you're doing sports and remedial massage, and you have to apply a lot of pressure, you're having to lean over. If you've got a very wide table, you're going to have to lean further to get in, say, around the spine, the lumbar area. You're going to have to lean a lot further, and you'll be putting a lot of pressure on your back if you have a wide table. So that's the first thing. So if you're having to lean too much and you're not very tall, then you really need to bear that in mind. So it's better to go for a narrower table. The second thing is what sort of treatments you're going to do. So if you, for example, you were going to do more holistic treatments and you weren't very tall, say if you were 5'4", you can get away with a slightly wider couch. So for example, here I've got an Affinity Comfort Flex table, which is more of a spa table. And because you're not having to apply so much pressure, you're not having to lean and stretch and really exert yourself so much, you can get away with a slightly wider table for that. So you can see that even with the same height, the treatments that you're going to do affect greatly the width of table that you need. Now, a lot of people say, Spencer, but what about the comfort of my clients? Because if I've got a very, very narrow couch and a big client, how they're not going to feel very comfortable and they're going to feel, a bit unsafe on the table. Again, you're going to have to strike a balance, particularly on portables, and certainly the use of the face cradle with the armrest that we profiled before really gets you out of trouble, because they're not going to put their arms by their sides, they're going to put it in front of them and through the arm sling, which is great because then it feels like it's a wider table. But there's another strategy to get around that, and that is by using a contour table. And what I have here is our Affinity 8 table. And as you can see, this is different to the other tables in as much as it's wide at the top and bottom, but it has this sort of contoured cut in here. Now the beauty about that is it does allow your client to then spread out much more, but then still allows you to get really, really good access to the lumbar area, and therefore putting less strain on your back. So talk to your specialist about what is the best width for you, and certainly, unless you're 6'5", avoid a table which is sort of 30 inches, because you're going to be straining too much. Those are American spec tables and not really useful for the UK. So bear that in mind. The next thing, the final thing to bear in mind, really, and again, for you guys out there that aren't that tall, is how you're going to move this table around, particularly if you're being mobile and doing proper portable treatments. When your table is folded, as I'm about to fold here, what is the width of the table suddenly takes on a different dimension, because it becomes like a suitcase and virtually like your inside leg measurement. So you can see this is our Affinity Aluminium, which is a 25-inch table, really good for the clients that are not that tall, because say for example this is 25 inches and my inside leg measurement was 26 or 27 inches, it does mean that I can actually lift it okay. If I then took a different table and it was our standard width, which is 27, and your inside leg measurement is 26, you can see that you're having to lever the table a lot more to get it upstairs or to move it around. And that will feel a lot heavier as a table than a narrower table, even though the weights might be identical. So that's why I'm saying talk to your specialist, but that should give you a feel of what you ought to be looking for when you're shopping around.